It gives me a lot of pleasure to introduce the next speaker at the Removing the Blocks to Intimacy Summit today, who is James O'Keefe, and he is going to speak about Let Go to Grow. And I'll just say a little bit about him. And so James has a unique ability to understand how men are struggling with not only their physical, but mental health. In his book, 7 Rules for Dudes, love the title, How to Unlock Your Inner Warrior, James shares how to let go of limiting thoughts and programming to gain inner peace. And I was really keen to get James and some of the other male speakers that we've had on today too, to come and share, because, you know, we hear so much about women's empowerment and freeing, you know, the woman and all the stuff to do for women, but men, it seems to me, really need support in growing too right now. And when I first spoke to James and asked him what he did, he said one sentence. And, you know, knowing as I do, and probably those of you who are listening to this also have heard, that the suicide rate in young men particularly is so high right now. So when I first spoke to James and I asked him what he did, he said what he does is he saves men from killing themselves. And that just really hit me. You know, that really, really hit me. So, you know, with that, it's over to you, James.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. And I really appreciate that. I think that's like that kind of sentence is, you know, I think that's my overarching, you know, goal is to stop men, you know, ultimately through shame or whatever that is, you know, from just thinking that you can't get out of a situation. I don't think it's any different for any human being, but yeah, you know, thank you guys. Really lovely to be here with you all. What a great bunch of people, and to all you speakers that have been today and I know yesterday, well done. And yeah, appreciate you having me here, Lorraine. So yeah, I think what it is, the thing with, I think the situation at the moment with men, I think there's a few reasons why you know, letting go is such an important tool, I think, and it's such a key thing to do in life, because without it, you're just stagnant. You know, you're always living in the past or looking at, you know, something else, something exterior to validate us or to, you know, make us feel better or to blame. And I think a lot of the time, especially at the moment, men particularly have got into this whole victim mode. And I'm trying to get us to kind of just, you know, particularly, you know, if you're in a very good situation in life, which if you can open a fridge and you've got a roof over your head, you're probably in a pretty good situation in life, you know. So it's knowing that we're, you know, our level, particularly, you know, I'm a white now, a middle class man. So, you know, my level is here, you know, I'm coming in hot, you know. So coming in hot. So let me bring some of that good abundance, you know, that good energy, and, you know, just really take ownership. Exactly what you said, Lorraine. It's, you know, taking ownership for our own lives and not looking around for either, you know, Batman to come running through the door and save us, or, you know, someone we can put our you know, I think, you know, the intimacy thing you talk about is, you know, we sometimes put it on someone else to bring us that love or intimacy or anything, but are we looking in ourselves and going, well, first, you know, how am I feeling? And I want to take it back a little bit, because everything for me, like a lot of you, is about energy. So I'm going to invite, I'm going to answer that question in a minute. I'm going to invite everyone now. We've been here probably a few hours of you now. I just want to invite everyone to stand up, please. I just want to invite everyone to stand up if you're not already standing up. And I just want us to, so I'm an oxygen advantage breathwork coach. So I do a lot of cold water therapy as well. And the breath, as a lot of people have talked about today, is the key thing that is, you know, so important to us. So if we can just take a couple of gentle breaths in through our nose and out through our noses now, and just relax our shoulders. Nice, easy, very gentle breath in, just for a few seconds. And then a very gentle breath out. Very gentle, just nice and calm. And we're just going to do that for a couple of breaths. Good. And then another gentle breath in. And then on that breath out, let's just shake it out, guys. Just shake out your shoulders. Shake out your body. Just nice, easy, gentle breath in. And then on the breath out, just gently exhale, but with a gentle noise, just a just a hum. Just let that hum out. We can just stimulate our vagus nerve like that. We're now in our parasympathetic nervous system. We're nice, gentle breathing. Just keep shaking it out. Couple more breaths. Good. Come standing and just another couple of breaths. Really gentle now. Go really gently. 5 in, 7 out on the breathing now. Gently rhythmic counting in your head. Filling the diaphragm, not the chest. Stomach fills as you breathe in for 5. And then out for 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in for 5. Good. Just thank yourself for being here today, guys, as well, while you're just having those moments. And again, the connections we're making with good human beings. And then just come back to sitting whenever you're ready. How's everyone feeling? All good? Yeah, excellent. Lorraine, how are you feeling?
I am feeling much better, actually, because yeah, I needed that. You must have heard me in my, yeah, I need to be in my body. You know, having had a career as a singer, as a professional singer, you know, you're so physical. Singing is so physical. So I spent, you know, many years doing like lots of physical work, and also, you know, before performing, you know, to get myself into that space where I'm really at the top of my game and grounded. Is always a big part of my process. So yeah, I'm telling you, it's so important, and we forget that, and particularly sitting at computers, or you know, it's, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, you know, you're not. My wife's a singer and an actress, so I see her, but I think as we forget as well, when you're singing a lot, or when you're performing, or like what you're doing today, when we're talking a lot, we're mouth breathing, so we're actually over breathing. So it's just in between these moments is finding that space to just come back to ourselves and go, let me breathe through my nose. You know, that's what our nose is for, not for anything else. Our mouth is for eating and talking. My wife would like me to not talk so much sometimes, but you know, let's not talk about that. Like I say to my men, sometimes the best way is to just shut your mouth, in more ways than one. And some advice I'm trying to take in as I get older. So yeah, so no, it's as I said, it's a beautiful thing. So how's it all been going today, Lorraine? It's
yeah, really great. Yeah, it's been fantastic. We had actually the first part of the summit was 2 weeks ago, so we've had 2-week break.
Yeah.
And now we're into the second half today. And I mean, just people coming in from all different angles. And so I would particularly like to know kind of what you do, James, when you get, you know, you lead these retreats, and what kind of, you know, where do you do them, and what kind of things do you actually do on the retreats?
Right. So the main focus is it's getting men to a place now, and it's not just men, because we have done women's workshops as well, and it actually surprised me how, because obviously I know women are unguided warriors. I know women are warriors, you know, and I respect you so much for that as well, women. And the reason I'm trying to concentrate on men is because I was the worst type of man. So I'm trying to like sneakily come around the back door and help women through first sorting us men out. So I'm like, if I can kind of get us to a place where we're not putting our you know, our ego or our lack of self-worth or our not feeling enoughness, you know, if we can deal with that ourselves and look at ourselves, then we won't be putting our issues onto you guys, trying to control you, do all these things. And you know, it's a journey that I'm still on myself, and this is what we take men through. So, you know, through lots of different kind of workshops. You know, as I said, I'm a breathwork coach, so we take people through breathwork sessions, you know, mindfulness sessions. We do cold water. We do all of the things, not just sitting around, you know, and talking about stuff, which is powerful. But for me, empathy plus action equal great results, you know. So I think sitting around, you know, talking is great, but, you know, at some point having a bit of action. That's why I wanted to get everyone up, you know, and get everyone energized and released and relaxed. And then it's okay. It's a physical presence sometimes I think we need as humans, you know. We need to actually cement what we're doing rather than just be talking about it, you know. And that comes from me, the whole letting go process for me and surrendering. And this is really what the weekends are about, and what are my big I suppose it's my, you know, thesis of life. You know, I'm about coming from scarcity into abundance, you know, and that is my life journey from all the stuff that happened. And, you know, I think we haven't got loads of time, so I don't think I've got a whole thing for my life story. And but again, you know, coming from real troubled past, you know, drink, drugs, violence, you know, lost everything, you know, wanting to kill myself, all of those things, you know, going through all of that pain, you know, hating myself, you know, for years and years and years. The biggest lesson and the biggest change for me was when I realized that I had to surrender it all. You know, I had to surrender my story, especially. I had to let go of it, you know. And I say this to a lot of people, that our stories can be an amazing driving force. I'm sure everyone here has had pain that they've had to kind of hold on to get them somewhere, you know. Oh, you know, I was a poor child, you know, or I had this happen when I was young, and so I'm going to fight, and, you know, and that's great. But what point does it become a weight around your neck? What point does it become an anchor that's just holding you down, dragging you under the water? So at some point, this is what I see in men, that scarcity mindset. It doesn't matter how much you make, how many women you sleep with, how many, you know, how many titles you get or work or whatever, you still don't feel enough because we're holding on to that. And that for me is the biggest superpower for me, is surrendering and letting go.
Yeah, you know what? That's the path that certainly I am on, and it's a process too, because I can easily get back into that, you know, pick all of those things up again. You know, it's a continual process to keep letting go. You know, it doesn't, like, it's not like you do it and it's like, okay, done that, now what's next? Like
yeah.
It's a process that goes on, and also I'm so conscious at the moment, and I'm sure everybody else is too, you know, about what's going on our planet, and, you know, all the species that are going out of existence. And it just seems to me that we need to have a very deep and profound change of perspective, you know, all of us. And I just wondered what your feelings are about that.
Sorry, just saying, I literally just looked at a question that someone just asked me.
Oh, well, answer the question. That's okay. I'll come back in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the guys, Gareth, I believe, asked me 2 questions. So if you wouldn't mind, are you cool with me answering them?
I'm totally cool. Yeah.
So he asked about how did it feel in your 20s? How did the grind feel in your 20s? You know, because he's struggling with it now. I heard a lot of people saying, you know, you had my beautiful brother from another mother, Kane, on here earlier, and he talked about words being super powerful. And obviously, we're all in this space that we believe words are hugely powerful and impactful. And I believe that at the moment, the word grind and the word hustle and, you know, hard work and it's toxic, and it's like it's just acidic, you know what I mean, for me anyway. And it just feels like, you know, the word grind, you're grinding the bones down, you know what I mean. You're like, you know, you're in fingerless gloves in a, you know, like Scrooge in an office, you know what I mean, like counting your pennies. And that's not, you know, for me it's abundance, you know. And it's so, Gareth, for you particularly, and not just for you, for all of us and me, and I just want to just say that when I'm talking as well, I'm not just like, oh, spouting out. I'm actually feeding. I feel like I'm feeding myself medicine. You know, I feel like I'm kind of here and I'm just watching myself and going, well, this is for you as well, you know. So I think we all can understand that. But I think the words we use with grind and like hustle and heart, you know, just if we reframe it, and the fact that we choose to do these things, you know, if we're going to work, we do have a choice. You know, we can change what we're doing. We can always change our mindset. You know, anyone can be feeling terrible 1 minute, and then a simple question of like, you know, think of one beautiful experience you had in your life. You know, what my wedding day, for example, I could be really sad today, and then someone go, think of your wedding day, and I think of my wedding day, instantly I'm happy. So we can change our thought process in a second, you know. So we do manage our emotions and our brain. It's not the other way around. So it's understanding that as well. And I think, Gareth, that is a key thing, is like watching how we talk to ourselves. Self-talk, as we all know, we can be so dark to ourselves, you know. So it's understanding that, you know, let's be a little kinder to ourselves. But here's the caveat, and there's always a caveat with me, but not too kind, because we do need to give ourselves a kick up the arse sometimes. Otherwise, we sit around kind of stroking ourselves, going, no, it's okay. You eat those hobnobs and sit in bed, you know, it's okay. But it's not. So, yeah, Gareth, that's how I was saying my 20s. My 20s, I can't really remember them because I was off my head and drinking a lot and being a bit of a wally. But I think just watch our self-talk, and, you know, try and find something that is nourishing you, even on a daily basis, even for a short amount of time. Even if you've got to go and, you know, work in something you don't really enjoy, you can't see value at the moment, trust me, you will. I was a chef when I was young, and I hated it for so much of it. But now, and this is interesting, coming back to the retreats, Lorraine, I now cook for my men. So, you know, the skills you learn 30 years ago, so 30 years ago, I learned them skills. Now they're paying dividend, you know? So it's like, okay, I learned from that. So it's always, you know, it's always understanding that, you know?
Yeah. I'm wondering if anybody else has some questions for James. If you want to put your hand up, we can unmute you and just let people ask you a question. Actually, what you were saying in answer to, I think it was Garrett's question, kind of answered my question in a way as well, because you were talking about grind and you were talking about toxic and acidic, you know, that lifestyle, and trying to fill that empty hole, you know, and if you do that will never fill it by kind of chasing and stuff. And I was just thinking in terms of, you know, our planet and the sustaining ability of our planet, you know, like with the species that are becoming extinct and stuff like that. I just think maybe it's kind of like there's something of the same around that. I don't know what your feelings are, James. Oops, you could unmute.
Sorry. Hey, there you go. It's funny because you talked about sustainability earlier, and it's funny that I talk about this a lot. About everyone talks about recycling and this and that, and when you touched on it briefly about how sustainable are we? Because if we can't, this all comes back to the whole process of what I believe in, and what I kind of take men on a journey, and I coach men, and I try and take them on a journey of first understanding what the issues are, and then going inward, always taking a breath, going inward, then looking at how can we then start to enact change on ourselves in a mentally positive, spiritual, emotionally, and physical way. And then once you have some of them, we have us thinking a little better. We're calmer because we do breath work. We're calm because we're taking ownership. All of these, and I'll go through my kind of the 7 rules for dudes in a little bit. But once we can start to be in our parasympathetic nervous system, we can then be more empathetic. We can be more caring about what's going on in the world, because while we're in fight or flight, no one cares. Like if you're poor, no one cares that you don't care about trying to recycle things and everything. You're just trying to get through the day. And I've been there. I was in fight or flight mode for so much of my life. I didn't care. Like I didn't have time to think, I was in fight or flight mode. I had all this shit happening to me, I thought, and I just had to survive. So it's about creating the right environment for the person, whoever it is, man, woman, whatever. And then from that place, we can then, because you can't bring abundance from a scarcity, like a place of scarcity. You just can't do it. There's very few people that can have that ability to be in kind of the swamp and then be trying to give. It's very difficult. And I salute anyone who is like that, because I wasn't. But I think that for me is when we can get an environment for ourselves that's conducive to, sustainability, then we can then think about the world as a sustainable, ecosystem. So that's what I think of that, really, Lorraine, to be honest with you. I think we have to always get our environment in a good place, so get that kind of toxicity down on our level, and then we can think about other people and really trying to do good, because it's very difficult to come from that place.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. When it comes from a place of need, I need a bigger house, I needed this, I needed that, I'm going to need to use the world's resources for, maybe we don't always need those things, but some it's a balance.
It is. And I think it all comes back to self-reflection. It comes back to taking that and I think the whole kind of the process around what you're talking about with the break for intimacy, all of this stuff is, you if you're constantly looking outward for anything, we're gonna feel less than all the time, always. So even if we're looking for intimacy outward, if we can't really, it's like it's a mirror. Everything we put out, we get back. So that energy, if our energy isn't right, or it isn't true, or it isn't from a good place, then we're going to struggle. So it's really about just taking ownership, self-reflecting, taking that gentle breath in, and then going in to every situation with abundance. And what my style of abundance is it's not giving until you've got no more to give. That's not what abundance is about. It's just the energy that we're giving off. It's like it's listening, it's connecting, it's looking in another person's eyes, it's genuinely, when they're talking, caring about what they're saying, and listening, not always trying to think, oh, wait for a break so I can get my little word in, or like trying to control the situation, or the liver king trying to dominate every situation. It's not, I don't believe that's what it's about. So You know, abundance for me is just, and funnily enough, my wife gave me the biggest lesson in my life about abundance. You know, she's the most abundant human being I know. So she, through the last 16 years, have taught me, you know, so much about that, and I'm so grateful for that. And you know, I'm lucky I've got another couple of friends who are just so abundant as well. And I'm like, wow, that's, you know, it's so. My abundance used to be still scarcity. I'd go into a situation and be like, oh, what can I get from that person? How can I, you know, how can I work angles? How can I hustle? You know, how can I like do whatever to make this situation mine? And that was the wrong way, you know. But you learn and you move on, and through experience, you know, sometimes it's got to be that hard experience, you know. I had to get cut down a few times, and I'm grateful for it now, obviously, but at the time it sucked. But
Well,
again,
you're doing fantastically well. You really are, James.
I'm getting, you
And
know, we're all on
like
that
you
journey.
said, you know, it's a continuum. I mean, I'm, as I said, it just isn't that thing of, well, I've done it now. You know, every day is a new day, and I can go back into being, you know, needy little
Oh,
greedy little prat, selfish, and, you know, blinded, and, you know, it very easily. And it's a continual process every day of, you know, doing the practices, you know, the breath exercises, the meditation exercises, the reading, the connecting with other people, the, you know, being in nature, the music, the creativity, the, you know, communication with people. You know, it's all of those things together. That's my experience, and it's an ongoing process.
you know, for me, Lorraine, I'm so, my style particularly is, I'm really into processes, okay? And anyone out there, processes are great. They're amazing. You know, I have a process to, you know, to shut my blinds at night. You know, my wife doesn't want to learn it, but I've got a process, and I think everyone's laughing. You know, she's like, I don't care about the process. I'm like, there's a way to do this. You know, I'm like that, and you know, anyway, she's my. But here's the thing: processes are great, but when they become negative, when they become that you have to do a 2-hour routine to go out of your house in the morning to be a normal person, then we've got to look at ourselves, like, what's wrong, you know? And that, I was there. So I'm, because I'm an all or nothing person, and like a, you know, I want to do this, and if I didn't do like my 17-step morning process, I'd be like, what have you done, you loser, you idiot, why haven't you done that, you know? So now I'm like, yes, process is great, yes, breathing's great, yes, cold water, I've got a blooming chest freezer in my back garden, yes, all of these things are great. But if I don't do it and I have a shit night's sleep and I trip over the dog in the morning and I don't have my like optimal flipping this, that, and the other breakfast, then I can still be a good human being. I can still connect with people. I can still love people. I can still be abundant. You know, I can walk down the street with that same, you know, feeling of abundance. Doesn't matter. So
Then what you've got is a really good internal representation of yourself. You know, that you're seeing, you know that about yourself. I think that, and that's probably something that maybe you've learned over the time that you've been, you know.
yeah, you know, I think it's also a mindset. It's like, it's, I don't love myself still. I'm not that kind of person, you know, but I hated myself when I was young, you know, for a lot of years. And it's taken me a lot to even like respect myself, you know. So, you know, and that was coming through, not, you know, no more cheating on women, no more, you know, taking drugs, no more drinking to a stupid point, you know, all of these things, you know, eating right. You know, I was a fat kid. I used to eat whatever and not worry. And, you know, I didn't care about myself. That's why you know, I was a professional MMA fighter. That was part of that, was because I didn't care about getting punched in the face or like, you know, and it was all a form of self-abuse. So it's going into ourselves and going, well, what is my intention behind that? Why am I doing that? Why am I hating on myself? You know, and starting to just take a little bit of respect back for ourselves, just every little way. And sometimes I think once someone was talking about it, sometimes using some of that pain that we feel from that. Like when I used to do drugs, I used to feel so, I used to hate myself so much. So to get off drugs, I stayed in that feeling. I went in on that feeling and went, you know, just like eating too much or drinking too much. I'd be like, you feel such a loser. You don't want to feel like that. You know, you lose 3 days, you do this, you do that. And I'd go into that feeling. Then I'd then try and work around going, well, okay, you've used that now. Now let go. Let go of the feeling of self-hate. Now, what have you learned from that? What can you learn? What can you do? What can you focus on positively, not the, you know, like the negative stuff? And then it was like little shifts of like, let me focus on what I have got and what I can do rather than what I haven't got and what I can't do. So it was just little processes. I'd write lists, you know, as silly as it sounds, like processes, you know, like pros and cons of how I feel, or, you know, it just, and then it verbally, you know, it gets it out black and white. And that for me helped me. And then slowly, and I'm 47, Lorraine, I'm still going through different, you know, seasons of who I am. And like you said, you know, that I still go. The other day in the car, my wife said something, and I went full victim mode and went all like, you know, like a little baby, you know. And then I was like, and straight away I went, what am I doing? I went, sorry, babe. I really went like, I just went like a 12-year-old little boy, you know, that I was. And I'm like, but luckily I can see it now at a point, whereas before I'd style it out like we all have. I know you all have. We've all styled it out and gone, well, I feel so hard done by and hurt. You know,
Get on our high horses. And
I'm so poor me, you know, and it's like, you know, in the nicest possible way, you give yourself a little, you know, and that for me is all, it's like, let's stop being victim mode, you know, let's stop it. We don't need it. It's not nourishing us. It's not helping us. Let's not do it. And I think men are, particularly men at the moment, when I tell people, yeah, I work with men and stuff, often people go, oh, you know, men are getting a bit of a hard time. I'm like, actually, I'm going to stop you there. I'm like, we're letting ourselves have that hard time. We're like, oh, poor me, or like, oh, poor white man, or, you know, it's like, oh, it's like, shut up. Come on, you know, we're all right. So it's, you know, it's coming in with that, you know, I'm coming in with that energy, still understanding, still kind of caring, but it's like, take ownership, you know, first. That is what I'm really trying to, you know, bring into the space, into whatever space to put out there.
thank you so much, James. Love it. Love it. Now, listen, could you just say a little bit about your free gift, please? We have put that in the chat, and
yeah. Well, okay, there you go. Yeah, my accountability program is an 8-week program that I will basically help you like, it's like takes you from, you know, if you're feeling whatever, in whatever ways, it works on sleep, hydration, diet, everything. And that's what I'm all about. Is you can't just work on one thing, you know, as a human being. You've got to look at the holistic, you know, overall. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of working on.
thank you, James, so much for being. Can we just unmute everybody? And I'm going to unmute everybody now. And can we just say a big thank you so he can hear your voices, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's nice to just have that. So please say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, beautiful people. I appreciate you all. I really do.
Oh,
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Alexandra. So yeah, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you. And yeah, reach out if you want, you know, Instagram or whatever. Can I just read the 7 rules?
yeah, please do.
All right. So I talked a lot about ownership because I'm very, you know, that's rule number 1. I'm very, very, very big on that, you know, just taking a breath and looking inward first. So rule 1 is take ownership. Rule 2 is ego at the door. So leave your ego at the door. You know, it was an old fighting term we used to have in my gym. So, you know, get over yourself, basically. 3, be present. Who doesn't need to be present a little bit more? You know, we're always trying to do 17 things and we're doing 16 of them badly. So be present. 4, eat natural. That just speaks for itself. Stop eating processed food. Straight up. If it runs, swims, grows, falls off a tree, eat it. If it doesn't, don't put it in your mouth. There you go. 5, do good. Speaks for itself. Do something for someone or yourself. 6, get outside. Get your shoes off. Get your feet on the ground, on soil, grass, beach, something. Get grounded. 7, this is probably the most difficult one and something that I struggle and we all do. Be honest. And that's it.